Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Song Theory Podcast. My name is Daryl Hester, and today we're talking about Jay-Z. Now, this is going to be probably one of the more controversial podcast episodes that I've done because Jay-Z just came out with a brand new interview last week, I believe, from the day of this recording, with GQ. And the interview was, well, eye-opening for a lot of people, including myself. And what it taught us was that Jay-Z is not only beloved, not only is he complex, right? There's a lot of nuances in his character and what he's done in the community and why he's important to the black community as well as music at large, but also why he is a huge, huge problem, right? And no, not just about him being a billionaire. It goes deeper than that. And that's what we're here to talk about. There are some conspiracies surrounding Jay-Z that not a lot of people actually talk about because A, they're afraid to talk about it, and B, they may not know everything involving Jay-Z, but I do, and that's what we're talking about today. So I'm gonna go straight into some clips of Jay-Z talking, and these are the two main clips that we are going to establish our arguments off of today with regards to who he is, what he's doing, why he's doing it, and the conspiracies surrounding Jay-Z. Okay, so first let's watch this clip to get a better understanding as to what it is that Jay-Z wants from all of us, why he feels like it's important to say this, and let's get a better understanding of him. Here we go.
And then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it. No one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do.
He said in the GQ interview that he did, he said, I did not and never have taken advantage of anyone. That is not what I do, with regards to the question of him being a billionaire and being so huge in the music industry, a music executive, the people I talk about all the time. He says that he's different. He's not like everyone else. He's never taken advantage of anyone to get to where he is today. We're going to have a very long conversation about that. And the next clip we're going to talk about is this one.
To this idea we were talking about just doing things the right way, even when that comes to like attaining wealth and continuing to amass wealth. We're talking about B-sides. One of your illest lines to me is face to the ceiling, race to a billion, heaven on earth, will his wings still fit him? So
Yeah.
What's the answer to that question? Is it a constant struggle to maintain?
Your morality defines who you are, right? It's not what you've attained. It's not a dollar amount that changes you.
Yeah.
And if so, what is that dollar amount? When does it start? Is it 100,000? Is it 150? Like at what point, if it's a cutoff, if it's like all millionaires are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 999,000, I'm good. It can't be that way, right? It doesn't make any sense. The system is set up against me, against us. But I'm talking about my specific struggle.
Yeah.
Everything was against me. My talent, not taking advantage of people, not taking advantage of a system, not creating tax loopholes, not just taking from other people. No, my talent pushed against all the headwind. And with that success, I've done things with my reach that I wanted to do that was helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And with the system that we have, what are you going to do? Because I don't believe in that the idea that someone has a certain amount of money, it defines their personality.
So he says in this clip, hey, not only do I believe that in my case, I have had the system set up against me, he also mentioned that he wholeheartedly believes, by the way, that money, the amount of money that you attain does not define you. You were that person before you ever made that amount of money. And this is where we are taking the conversation. We are talking about three main things today. Number one, Jay-Z's attention to detail with regards to who he takes advantage of and why. Number two, we're going to talk about his billionaire status and how that has propelled him through the music industry. but also put him in hot water. And number 3, we're going to explain all the conspiracies surrounding Jay-Z and why it's important for us to actually acknowledge and hold him accountable for the things that he refuses to talk about. Okay? First of all, also, the clip that we just heard, I noticed something. He did a little shift. Did you guys hear it? The interviewer said, there's this narrative that all billionaires are bad. I want you to pay attention to what Jay-Z said later. He said, oh yeah, and regarding the narrative that all millionaires are bad, he shifted the goalpost. But that's what Jay-Z does. Jay-Z does a lot of goalpost shifting. Okay? Because deeper into the interview, he at one point says that the interviewer says, that black people are allowed to do certain things. And he said, I want you to remove that from your vocabulary. Black people are not allowed to do anything. Nobody has dominion or authority over us. But then he goes on to talk about the system. See, this is the dichotomy that I think is really hurting the black community and America as a whole. Is that in one instance, you want to acknowledge that we as people, we the people, have dominion over ourselves and that we choose and that we have freedom, right? All this freedom that we keep hearing about. Then on the other side, when it comes to how you came up and how you had to pull yourself up from your quote unquote bootstraps, suddenly there was a system that was edged against you that hurt you, but you rose above it. It's okay. So let's get organized here. Let's get organized because I have so much to say about this. All right. I don't want to start holding him accountable yet until we give him his accolades, because this, I think, is the nuance of these conversations. There are so many people who are going to be listening to this podcast episode and they're going to say, you didn't even mention the good things that Jay-Z has done and the great things that he has accomplished and all the. Okay, we can talk about that right now. Jay-Z has donated millions of dollars to charity. He's helped build schools. He has helped the local community food drives and other philanthropic endeavors. And this guy has really paved the way for what we know music to be right now in the current era. He has encouraged and financed, right, and pushed so many names and acts that we know and love today that without him, we would not have a large portion of what hip hop is right now. That is a fact. That is an immutable fact that we're not going to act like is not true, because it is. Jay-Z is indeed a tastemaker. When I tell you, from the mid 90s to mid 2000s, all the way to the 2010s, Jay-Z was on fire. He was the biggest artist really in the world at that point. And to this day, we have to acknowledge, and I will not continue this podcast without acknowledging, that Jay-Z is one of the greatest artists that hip hop has ever seen. That he indeed is one of probably the heads that will go on the Mount Rushmore of hip hop. Okay? So I don't want to start this. There's so many Jay-Z fans watching this and listening to this right now. I want you to know that I recognize Jay-Z's greatness. And that is why I'm going to hold him accountable in this episode. Because there is a problem that we are having in music. There's a problem that we are having in society where, because somebody is great, we are not allowed to hold them accountable and talk directly to what they have done and what they have been involved in. That is a problem for me. And I refuse to keep allowing people to glaze past all of the issues with Jay-Z being a black capitalist. And I make these two words a very distinct separation here, that Jay-Z is not just a rapper. Jay-Z is not just a businessman. He is a black capitalist. Why are these two words together so important? Because as a capitalist, you have to take advantage of the system and of people around you in order to benefit fully from capitalism. There's no way around that. There's nothing you can say that proves that's not true. To fully benefit, you have to take advantage of everything. He said in that interview that he never took advantage of tax codes, right, in order to attain his billions. Yeah, that's because Jay-Z doesn't do his own taxes. Come on. I don't even do my own taxes. Jay-Z does not do his own. So for Jay-Z to say, I've never used tax codes to take advantage of tax codes in order to become a billionaire is, I'm telling you right now, I would bet my bottom dollar is probably not true. Okay. And also taking advantage, Jay-Z, what an interesting concept, right? Because for those of you that don't know, Jay-Z, before he ever became a billionaire, right? Before he ever touched $1 billion. And this is so important that he said that he does not believe that people turn bad or end up being bad when they hit $1 billion or $1 million. He believes that was your character before you ever touched $1 million. Well, you know what? I believe that too. Because as Jay-Z was growing up, and although, yes, poverty and other situations put him in this predicament, so I do not want to talk about this without acknowledging the systems, right? And the what the system has done to build the conditions, the material conditions that Jay-Z had to endure as a child. I do not want to glaze past that. I know that that's the case, and that's why Jay-Z had to sell drugs for a certain period of time. But just because the system set you up to sell crack cocaine on the street corners to your community does not absolve you from taking advantage of those that were people who are family members, mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters in your community. You sold crack cocaine to those who were most vulnerable in your community, on your street corners. That is taking advantage of people. Before he ever touched $1 million, he was already taking advantage of people. He already learned how to take advantage of it. And again, I have taken advantage of people as well. So have you. Let's not act like none of us have taken advantage of somebody at some point. Okay, we all have done it. But for Jay-Z to get on here and act like he has never taken it, to say the words, I have never taken advantage of anybody to get to where I am, is a flat out lie. Because as somebody like myself, who is, I'm sure I've touched $1 million, but I don't have $1 million at one time, right? I have taken advantage of people at some point. I've lied about something. I've stepped over somebody to get to where I wanted to be. I've done it. And I'm not even a millionaire. So I believe Jay-Z is right. You are who you are at the stage of your life, no matter how much money you have in your pocket. And so was Jay-Z. For Jay-Z to get on camera and say he has never taken advantage of anybody really pisses me off, because you are misrepresenting what it is that you have done up to the point now where you are at sitting in the chair for this GQ interview. Absolutely outrageous. It is a lie. And outside of him just selling crack on the street corners, because for some weird reason, people are defending Jay-Z for selling crack on the street corners. Again, it is a nuanced conversation, because usually you sell crack or drugs because systemically you have been pushed in the direction to do that, right? United States government, over policing in neighborhoods, the degradation and disenfranchisement of the black community, blah, blah, blah. We know about it. We understand it. We recognize it. However, not every single person sold crack in the hood. Not every single person had to sell drugs that was black, that was impoverished. Many of those people found jobs and did it the right way. So I don't necessarily want to hear this argument that, well, Jay-Z had to do it. It was supply and demand. It was supply and demand. All Jay-Z was doing was supplying the people with what they wanted. If that's the logic you want to use, then you can really argue that the transatlantic slave trade was all good, because it was all about supply and demand. You're stupid. That's dumb. That opinion makes no sense. And Jay-Z was selling drugs to his community, right? And we have to acknowledge that. So the very premise, off the strength of just his past alone, we're not even talking about his present yet. We're not even talking about his music career yet. Oh boy, we're getting there. Trust me. We're going to talk about who he has stepped over and taken advantage of in his music career. But just off the strength of his past, Jay-Z has indeed confirmed taking advantage and stepped over people to get to where he is today. Just off the strength of who he was in the streets. Selling drugs to your community is the very definition of taking advantage of people and stepping over them to get to where you are. Hey, did you guys know? Little known fact. Jay-Z admitted himself that he used some of that drug money in order to promote his music. Hello. Jay-Z used the drug money that he got from poor, disenfranchised, and sick black people in his community to finance and push his music career. So, legitimately, his crack cocaine selling got him to where he is today. That's not even a theory. I'm not even at the conspiracy part yet. That's just the truth. Drug money aided in his advancement in music. Okay? So this idea that Jay-Z has never, ever taken advantage of anybody to become a billionaire. I've never done that. Oh, me? Not little old me. No. I could never do such a thing. I 10 toes down. I did this off the strength of just hard work and determination. That is false. And for anybody out there who wants to believe this nonsense, you are drinking the Kool-Aid. And this is the problem with the music industry and executives like Jay-Z. And I talk about it all the time. They will paint this picture that they are this innocent, down-to-earth, cool, hey, I get it, man. I'm just like you guys. The system was built against me, and I rose above it. Look at me. Jay-Z is, by definition, I guess, model minority, if you want to use that terminology. It's often used for Asian people, right? Back in like the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. But I kind of like the phrase model minority because that's sort of what the elites do. They prop up this person who is a person of color, who is black, right? Especially for the black community. Prop them up, okay? Push their product, give them all this access so that you can look at your people and say, well, if I did it, you could do it too. There is no system that is, rising against us. We got to rise up ourselves, right? Because again, in one instance, Jay-Z says, there is nobody above there. No one has dominion above us, black people. Nobody has dominion above us. Nobody has authority above us. Don't even say what we're allowed to do. And then turns around and says that there was a system that was built against him. You see how that's a problem? But now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of how Jay-Z has taken advantage of people during his music career. Solidifying the fact that he is correct. Who you are is sustained from the day that you are a conscious being, right, to becoming a billionaire. I truly believe that he is correct. Who you are then is who you are now. And the amount of money you make does not change that. Let's look at how that's the case, okay? Because if Jay-Z was willing to sell crack to his community and further destroy it from the inside out, what makes you think that he wouldn't be willing to do that on a grand scale? The answer, he is. Now, I found this slideshow on the internet, and I thought this was mind-blowing. First of all, the amount of research in this is dense, okay? But it's so informative, and it's packed with a lot of facts, okay? There's some conspiracy woven in here, so we're going to talk about the conspiracies, the things that are alleged, but there are things in here that are factual, okay? Factual. This comes from the Black Men Build Instagram account. And I stumbled upon this just getting an idea of what's going on with Jay-Z. And every single thing on here that this slideshow presents are real articles that you can look up right now. I will mention the article headline And I will also mention who wrote the article, so that if you are like, hey, this doesn't sound real, you are more than welcome to look this up yourself. It exists. These articles are indeed real. Okay? First, let's go ahead and read this byline here to understand what we're talking about. The latest batch of Epstein files revealed something many black folk have accused Jay-Z of being for years: a puppet for the billionaire ruling class. Though the fervor around the files is dying down, there's still a lot to unpack here. Yes, this does center largely on the Epstein files, okay? In case you missed it, in 2014 email to Epstein, former CEO of Barclays, Jess Staley, gloated about the U.S.'s ability to avoid social upheaval thanks to Jay-Z's influence on subduing the black community. This confirmed what a long history of sus business moves by Jay has consistently hinted at: his willingness to prioritize his pockets and the interests of powerful ruling class figures over his own people. Jay-Z has become the poster boy for black capitalism, and in the process has also a poster boy for the inherent dangers of black capitalists. He's been at this for a long time and has become savvy at shrouding his maneuvers in a cloak of goodwill and charity. So he put together a timeline highlighting just some of the ways in which he has functioned as a puppet Jess Staley was so happy about. He's at a point where he often occupies space with and openly advocates for some of the biggest right-wing ops. But this didn't happen overnight. We couldn't fit everything he's done in just 20 slides, so if there's anything you feel we left out, let us know in the comments. The slide starts off by saying Jay-Z, friend or foe, a timeline, and scratch through friend or. It just says Jay-Z, foe, a timeline. Okay? Now, the first slide shows us Jess Staley, okay, to Jeffrey Epstein, February 3rd, 2014 at 1:13 a.m. You want to know why we are not Sao Paulo? Watch the TV ads on the Super Bowl. It's all about hip blacks in hip cars with white women. The group that should be in the streets has been bought off by Jay-Z. Jess Staley, Blue Mountain Capital. The group that should be in the streets has been bought off by Jay-Z. Now remember, this person that's talking right now, okay, is the CEO of Barclays. We're going to talk more about Barclays so you guys understand why that's so important. All right. The next slide then says, our timeline begins with Jay-Z's splashy investment in the then New York Jersey Nets in 2004. This was the beginning of his post-rap pivot to legitimate businessman. Okay, so to be clear, one of Jay-Z's first forays into business outside of hip-hop was this investment in the New York Nets stadium. Okay? The headline says, Jay-Z nets a hoops team, rapper among investors who purchased New York Jersey Nets. Okay? Oh, and I said stadium, not stadium. This is the actual team, the actual basketball team, the New York Jersey Nets, okay? Jay-Z nets a hoops team, rapper among investors who purchased New Jersey Nets, by Mark W. Dulwich and Austin Skaggs, January 2004, from the Rolling Stone magazine. It reads, in 2004, after failing to secure a deal for the New York area in Newark, New Jersey, eventually a new arena, the Prudential Center, was built in Newark for the New Jersey Devils. The Yankee Nets sold the franchise to a group headed by real estate developer Bruce Ratner for $300 million, beating out a group led by Charles Kushner and John Crozine. While Kushner and Crozine wanted to keep the Nets in New Jersey, Ratner planned to move the team back to New York. In 2005, the Nets announced plans to locate the team in the Prospect Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn. You know, Jay-Z's neighborhood, where he was born and raised, Brooklyn. Let's slap that right in the middle of Brooklyn. One of the members of the ownership group at the time was rapper and Brooklyn native Jay-Z, who owned less than 0.07%, but has been an outspoken face of the ownership team. Interesting, isn't it? that the man who is a black rapper from Brooklyn who only owns 0.07% stake in the entire situation happens to be the most outspoken person regarding this project. Why would they allow that to happen? Why would they allow that to happen? Next slide. Headline reads, rapper Jay-Z gets major criticism for taking homes to build stadium. 97.9 The Box, written by KBXX, March 16th, 2010. Right? So we have a little timeline here. First, it was 2004, where everything was getting kind of built and talked about. Then in 2010, everything, the ink dried. They're cutting ribbons, right, in the picture. And it said, least twofold. First, residents are not always paid for market value. Jay-Z and his investment group have been accused of taking advantage of eminent domain in order to buy homes at below fair market price. What does that mean for those that don't understand? Basically, anytime you are trying to invest in land or anytime that you want land that you want to develop on, okay, you have to buy out everybody that's on that land. But what they're saying is that the investment group that Jay-Z is a part of, and perhaps even Jay-Z himself, that's a theory. I don't know if Jay-Z himself wrote this stuff up, whatever. But the company that he kept, right, was taking advantage of certain codes that would be able to get the houses that you need to move out of the way under market value, so you save money on buying people out of their property. Taking advantage, okay? Taking advantage. Is Jay-Z really a player? And this is what the article is saying. Is Jay-Z really a player in all this? Or is his urban following being used to persuade city residents, right? So here's a theory. The theory is Jay-Z is the one perpetrating this. He was used as a puppet to masquerade as goodwill and to get the people of Brooklyn excited for this project. All right? That's the theory. Was Jay-Z used in that way? Is that the case? Some certainly believe he was. The person who wrote this entire thing, Black Men Build, you could tell there's a slight slant against Jay-Z here. Okay? So I'm assuming they believe it. But again, that's just a theory. Some have argued that Jay-Z is a part of this investment group for strategic reasons. They claim that his name and face are being used to lend credibility to those who might be skeptical of a pack of wealthy white guys coming in and building up homes from poor people, buying up homes from poor people on the cheap. The critics are probably right on some level. The truth is that Jay-Z's visibility is certainly a valuable asset that will help the group achieve its objectives. Okay? So the theory is that he's being used as a puppet, but let's talk about the facts. The fact is that Jay-Z only, and I want to be clear here, okay? Jay-Z only owns less than 0.07%, okay, of this entire investment. But yet he is the most visible individual that is cutting ribbons. He's at the groundbreaking ceremony. He's wearing hard hats. He's using a shovel. He's walking around in a tuxedo. I've never seen somebody who owns less than 1% be this involved. Hard to believe that that was not a ploy to take advantage, take advantage of the people of Brooklyn and their perception of this project. Hard to believe that's not the case when Jay-Z is parading around like this. Headline reads, NBA approved sale of Nets to Russian billionaire. May of 2010 from Forbes. Another headline, Nets new owner dines with Mayor Bloomberg and Jay-Z. May 2010, New York Post. But as his detractors have been eager to point out, Jay hasn't so much been welcomed into the business realm of Bruce Ratner and Mikhail Prokhorov, the real financial forces behind the venture, as allowed himself to become a promotional puppet to help push their own financial goals. that particular that's the Village Voice. That particular piece, that paragraph was from the Village Voice. Okay? So people from Brooklyn and the surrounding area began to recognize that Jay-Z had very little to do with this money-wise up front. His 0.07% stake was very small, but yet for some reason he was the most visible. And here he is having lunch with the mayor of New York at the time. And billionaire Mikhail Prokhorov and Bruce Ratner having these very huge conversations about investments in New York City. To believe that Jigga Mane wasn't being used as a puppet and taking advantage of his credibility and visibility is hard to believe. Again, we're going back to this concept that we need to hold these people accountable in the music industry. We need to hold them accountable. Jay-Z might have seen this as a money move, but what he didn't realize was that there are so many people being affected by this negatively. And before you ask, well, wait a minute, these billionaires are buying out homes and giving checks to poor people. That's great, right? Okay, well, now we're talking about gentrification. Okay. Yes. Everything has a nuanced take. Everything is gray. Nothing is black and white. Is it great that a family that had net yearly earnings of $30,000 got a $20,000 check to move out of their house? Yes, that is great. Good for them. Except that $20,000 check should have been $200,000 because that's what the land in their house was valued at. But because these billionaires actually found a loophole and found different codes and laws that they could take advantage of, they gave a family almost what is that? Almost $180,000 less than they're owed. You see how it's nuanced? Do you see how it's not black and white? Is it good that this family got a hold of a $20,000 check? Sure. But it's bad because these billionaires took advantage of them and didn't give them everything they were owed. These billionaires in this investment group and Jay-Z's involvement literally removed thousands of people from their homes, the land, right? Because remember, it's not just homeowners that get moved out. It's people that rent. Little do you know, some of you may not understand this, but when you are renting a house and the owner of that house takes a check from an investment group to sell that house, guess what? You no longer have a house to rent. You're out of there. That is the same thing that happens if you rent an apartment. The land that apartment sits on, if it gets bought out by an investment group, you get a letter in the mail or on your door saying, hey, by the way, you got to get up out of here. That's how that works. So not everybody got a solo $20,000 check. Some people got a knock on the door and they had to pack their bags and leave within 30 days. Where were they going to go? Brooklyn is known to be one of the lowest net income areas or boroughs in New York City. And at the time, that was definitely the case. So how many thousands of people did Jay-Z and that investment group take advantage of in order for this Barclays Stadium to exist? In order for the Nets to come to Brooklyn? Jay-Z says, I've never taken advantage of anyone to be where I'm at. Interesting. Jay-Z's hip hop of distraction. Headline from Salon, excuse me. Written October 25th, 2011 by Norman Oder. The hip hop superstar hypes a Brooklyn NY sports arena that failed to deliver on its jobs pledge. Oh my God. So wait a minute. Now we're getting to a headline where he was hyping up the actual project and the development because it was going to actually stimulate the economy of Brooklyn, and it ended up not stimulating the economy of Brooklyn. He lied. He directly lied to the people of Brooklyn. Is that what we're saying? Let's read. By adding glamour and Brooklyn's street cred, Jay-Z would help Ratner distract New Yorkers from noticing how a corporation based in Cleveland and controlled by Ratner's family would be reaping the benefits of government assistance, including subsidies, tax breaks, and eminent domain. No wonder Ratner, at the initial 2003 press conference, addressed Jay-Z with elaborate, I don't even know what that word is. What is that? Solicitousness? I've never actually read that word before. Interesting. Thank you for honoring us. Basically, giving him all these accolades. Thank you for honoring us. Okay? Even as Nets players used as press conference props, Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, were traded away. Jay-Z stuck with Ratner. After the developer in 2009 sold 80% of the team to Prokhorov, there was Jay-Z helping the new owner recruit NBA players, posing in a photo op with him and the New York mayor, Mike Bloomberg, and helping deflect focus from the Russian oligarch's questionable path to wealth. So this headline reads, Jay-Z to now play 8 shows to open Barclays Center. So let's not forget, Jay-Z owns 0.07% of the investment group that is working on the Barclays Center. And that is working to gain the Brooklyn Nets, it will be the Brooklyn Nets, right? And they are the ones that are building out and creating the space for the Barclays Center, where the Brooklyn Nets will be playing. Okay, so Jay-Z has had a hand in this entire process, even though he's only owned 0.07% of the entire investment group. Here he is, the face of it. And he signed himself up to do 8 shows that, by the way, Jay-Z shows open $1 billion Brooklyn Barclays Center. He's the opener. October 3rd, 2012 from Bloomberg. He's the opener. He has total control over what's going on. Jay-Z said to the crowd, when I look at the paper and I see them talking, he owns 1/15. First of all, I don't know where they got that number from, but I'm cool with it. Okay, so let's assume Jay-Z owns more than that. All right, let's say you own 10%. It still ain't 50. It's still not 75 or 100. And yet here you are, more public than the people that own most of it. Right? So I feel like he's ignoring that whole point. But then he says, what I mean by that is it's not personal to me. They know that if you see me standing here, that you know it's possible to achieve great things, blah, blah, blah. And I know a lot of y'all out here are already achieving great things, and I will continue to do so. Hove continued, don't let anybody diminish your accomplishments. It's our mother effing time now. Oh my God. This pisses me off. This right here. This concept that, again, the theory is that he's being puppeteered, right? To be this beacon of light in the black community, to show that a rapper, somebody that came from the same neighborhood, is able to accomplish great things. So he's the one that we're using to pilot this program to, wipe all of these people off of this Brooklyn area, pay everybody off with very little money, allegedly, and not paying them market value for their homes, right? Paying landowners that have apartment complexes and houses that people are renting, pay them off. So now the people that live in those apartment complexes and houses have to leave. Where are they going? Who cares? We have a Barclays Center now. And here Jay-Z is performing 8 shows there to open the stadium. And he says to the crowd of some people that are just as disenfranchised as those that got removed, hey, look at me up here. I did it and so can you. Yeah, only if you're willing to shake hands and eat dinner with billionaires that have allegations as long as a CVS receipt. Only if you're willing to put your morality on the back seat in order to achieve these things. Only you can achieve this, guys. Only, however, if you're willing to step over thousands of people to get here. And yet he sits on an interview and says, I have never taken advantage of anybody to get to where I am today. It's sick. This next slide says Jay-Z's involvement with Brooklyn Nets pays off handsomely for the team, rapper as well. Hip Hop Wired, published in August 16th of 2012. Right? At this point, everyone's bankrolled. Everyone got their money up. It's amazing. Look at us. We got so much money. Jay-Z was really the catalyst for all this. You know, nobody's going to listen to some old white man walk in the room and say, hey, we want to take your house and your land and we want to put a stadium. Nobody would have listened to them, but they will listen to a Brooklyn native, right? But then it gets better. Listen to this. Jay-Z sells net stake, earns Warren Buffett-like return. Oh, he got lots of money. This was from Forbes, April of 2013. And then Bruce Ratner selling majority share of the Barclays Center. Right? So Jay-Z buys into the Nets for a fraction of a percent, yet is parlayed as the face of the franchise. He uses his influence to lend credibility to the theft of Brooklyn residents' property. And theft is a very intense term. Again, they did pay. We are assuming, and reports show that they did indeed pay these people to get out of the way, right? But the theft comes in where you did not pay them market value according to reports. That's the issue, right? He is rewarded with 8 sold out shows and celebrates it as our time, as if all black people are suddenly getting a paycheck of $1 million. Jay-Z and lead developer Bruce Ratner sell shares of the Nets and Barclays, respectively, shortly after the launch. So wait a minute. He didn't even decide to stay locked into the project. He said, I'm going to do these shows. I'm going to get this project done, and then immediately cashed out on everything. He didn't even really want to be part of the project after that. Again, how many times did Jay-Z say he wanted to be a billionaire? Where are we at now? 11 times, right? 11 times he's mentioned being a billionaire, and that's probably just some of them. That's probably not even all the times. He has been wanting to be a billionaire for decades, and he was making it happen one step at a time. We see it, and we see it, right? And as we continue to recognize how horrible this situation is, we begin to see why Jay-Z was being used the way he was, right? He was the perfect catalyst, if you think about it. Right? He was one of the biggest people in hip hop. He came from New York City, Brooklyn, right? He's well known in the neighborhood. Everybody is proud of him. So why not leverage that popularity and credibility? Why not? Right? And there are some that say, well, I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't do it? You're telling me you wouldn't try to, you're telling me you wouldn't take that check? At the end of the day, what did he say? You are who you are before the money and after the money. It is no surprise that is how Jay-Z was moving, because he was always on this type of timing. Right? But there's another example I want to get into. It was during the Occupy Wall Street situation. You guys remember that? Listen to this. Jay-Z was selling Occupy Wall Street t-shirts, yet he had no plans to share profits with the protesters. This was written by Kimberly Nordyke from The Hollywood Reporter back in 2011. In 2011, shortly before Barclays Center was launched, the Occupy Wall Street movement breaks out. Jay initially supports it. He always does, right? He always wants to show initial support for something, okay, by co-opting the slogan in an all lives matter fashion, right? The Occupy Wall Street t-shirt was created in support of the Occupy Wall Street movement. Rockaware strongly encourages all forms of constructive expression, whether it be artistic, political, or social. Occupy all streets is our way of reminding people that there is change to be made everywhere, not just on Wall Street. At this time, we have not made an official commitment to monetarily support the movement. Hey guys, we're going to make a t-shirt that's all about this movement, but we have not made any commitments to give y'all any of the money or actually support you guys getting arrested or any hospital bills. We're not going to do that, but we are going to sell these t-shirts and profit off of you guys' struggle. Yeah. That's Jay-Z for you. And you know what Jay-Z would say? Jay-Z would say, well, that wasn't me. That was Rockaware. You know, Rockaware had its own executive team and its own PR team. And, you know, he'll try to skirt responsibility as if he had no hand in these decisions, right? Now, of course, that's what he's going to say. Why wouldn't he say that? It gets worse. When his attempt to co-opting the message received backlash and failed, because at that time he was a multi-millionaire, okay, he shifted to an outright rejection of the movement entirely. Whoa, where have we heard that from? All of a sudden, Mr. It's our time. This is for us. We are all in this together. The moment that you get shut down because you're trying to actually monetize off of people's struggle, you now all of a sudden want to outright disagree with the entire movement. And he says, what? I have never stepped over anybody to get to where I am today. Jay-Z falls out with Occupy Wall Street. After seeming to show solidarity with the Occupy movement last year, the rapper now says he has no idea what it wants. Shawn Michaels, 2012, from The Guardian. Jay-Z, who was worth at that time an estimated $460 million, said it was wrong to fight against entrepreneurs. Yeah, the 1% that's robbing people, and listen to this. This is so great. This is the best part. All right, listen. Yeah, the 1% that's robbing people and deceiving people, these fixed mortgages and all these things, and then taking their homes away from them, that's criminal. That's bad. Is that right? Oh, wait, Jay-Z. Wait. So you believe that the 1% is robbing people and deceiving people? But wait, didn't you just say that not all billionaires are bad? Jay-Z, in this article, just said back in 2012, that the 1% is robbing and deceiving people. Did he not just say that in this article? He did, right? But in 2026, on a GQ interview, he sits down and says, I am a billionaire, but I've never deceived and manipulated anybody to get to where I am. Do you see what the issue is with Jay-Z? He is inherently flip-floppy. This guy cannot decide whether he's left, right, hot, or cold, up or down. 1 year in 2012, he believes the 1%, because he wasn't the 1% at the time. He was in $460 million net worth. I believe that's what, top 5% maybe? So he says the 1% is the people that are deceiving and stealing. That's them. Hey, the 1% are bad people. He said that in this interview. And then in 2026, he turns around and says, well, now that I'm a billionaire, well, we're not so bad. I'm not bad. I never deceived anybody to get to where Wait! So every other billionaire is bad but you. Every other billionaire stepped over people and lied and deceived but you. Is that what you're saying? That's what you're saying. That's why we got to talk about Jay-Z. This is why accountability matters, because people like Jay-Z and executives in the music industry, they put their hands up and act like they're innocent. Oh, hey guys, I'm not like them. And then years later, when they actually reach the $1 billion mark, when they become the 1% that they preached against all those years, all of a sudden, the system was set up against me. You know, I worked really hard to get to where I am, and I never stepped over anybody. I never manipulated or deceived anybody to get to where I am. And people eat that up. People believe every word of it. They genuinely believe that Jay-Z is just a hard-working brother from the hood, and he did everything he could to step up, and he ain't hurt nobody to get there. That's a lie. And for him to lie to the public, for him to sit here and use his influence to deceive people to believe that he is some type of everyday man that has never, ever hurt anybody, who has never deceived or manipulated or did anything like that to become a billionaire, is an absolute 100% lie. And I'm sick of hearing it. I'm tired. These executives, these high-end executives in the music industry, will literally have you believe that they are innocent of any type of manipulation and taking people and disenfranchising them and hurting them and taking opportunities away from them. We're not even at the blackball point yet. We're not even talking about how many people Jay-Z allegedly blackballs from the industry. It is disgusting how disconnected individuals like him are. Let's look at this again. I don't want to miss this. Jay-Z said, yeah, the 1% that's robbing people and deceiving people, these fixed mortgages and all these things, and then taking their homes away from them, that's criminal. That's bad. Mind you, he was accused of helping to take homes away from people in Brooklyn in order to build the Barclays Center. Interesting. He told Zadie Smith in the Times, but it's not bad It's not a bad thing being an entrepreneur. This is free enterprise. This is what America was built on. Buddy, even people who are entrepreneurs can be scummy. They can be stealing and they could be wrong, especially if you claimed entrepreneurship to get to $1 billion. I hate to say this, and maybe somebody might disagree with me, but entrepreneurship goes out the window once you become a billionaire, because entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurship is you are building a business off the back of what you do and what you own. So a lot of people say, okay, he's a rapper, right? So rappers are inherently entrepreneurs. But once you start stepping into the business space, the investment space, commercial real estate, that's not really entrepreneurship. You are working hand in hand and taking percentages from other investment firms in order to build your wealth. You are way outside of entrepreneurship at that point. So no. Y'all have to stop falling for this Jay-Z trap, man. He has been tricking y'all for so many years. Y'all can't even see it. He's lying to you. He has been lying to you. You cannot continue to do this. Okay? Let's talk about one more thing, because this, I'll be honest with you guys, it's a long list. It's a very long list that Jay-Z has on his name. Okay? I could go through this for literal hours, but we ain't got the time. So let's go over one more thing, okay? Because now we want to talk about Jay-Z's positioning in the black community, because Jay-Z for so many years has championed blackness, right? The black community, black art, and this is his positioning, right? He's able to position himself like this and then use his influence to channel this capitalist mindset in order to get what he wants and benefit from it financially, right? On Watch the Throne, Jay-Z invoked legacy of the late great anti-capitalist, let's say that one more time, anti-capitalist Fred Hampton, only to be blasted as Slave Z by Fred Hampton Jr. Slave Z is hilarious. Kanye West wrote a song with Jay-Z called Murder to Excellence. The line says, I arrived on the day Fred Hampton died. Real niggas just multiply. But then political activist Fred Hampton Jr. criticized Jay-Z over the lyrics and calls him Slave Z. Why is this? Why? Because over a decade later in 2022, Jay would liken being accurately called a capitalist to that of a racial slur. Even though we saw him call himself a black capitalist and say that it's all free enterprise. He cannot choose what label he wants. Are you a black capitalist, or are you thinking that capitalist is a racial slur? Are you saying you're such a capitalist that when someone calls you a capitalist as an insult, you're insulted? It's disgusting. Controversy erupts as Jay-Z likens being called a capitalist to the N-word. Right? And so this is it goes so much deeper. There's so much. I mean, because then there's the conspiracies that Jay-Z aided in the destruction of other artists' careers, that he aided in the destruction of Aaliyah's career, that he aided in the destruction of so many individuals, that he groomed Beyonce into the woman that she is, right? And created this relationship with her when she was just a teenager and he was a grown man, right? Because he wanted to benefit and profit off of her talent. There are all of these alleged situations and all these theories surrounding Jay-Z leads to one thing, that no matter how much Jay-Z claims that he has not stepped over people to get to where he is, no matter how much Jay-Z claims that billionaires can be good people, he has proved to us once again that's not true. Jay-Z has stepped over documented and conspiracy, or rather fact and allegedly, factually and allegedly, has stepped over so many people to get to where he is today. His assertion that you are who you are from the day that you are conscious, an adult, whatever, no matter how much money you have, you are who you are. I truly believe that's the one thing me and Jay-Z agree on. He's absolutely right. Because Starting from the corners of Brooklyn, selling crack to mothers and fathers and sons and daughters, Jay-Z truly has been a capitalist and a free enterprise type of nigga the whole time. Using that money that he got from the hands of hardworking Americans that were in the midst of an addiction crisis, he used that money to propel his music career. This came from the mouth of Jay-Z. He said that himself. So to now sit here and act as if you have not stepped over people and manipulated to get to where you are is a factual lie. It's a fallacy. It's false. So many high-ranking executives in the music industry are guilty of this. And then they take their aggression out on the artist, right? They use the same manipulation tactic on the artist. And that's where you get all these reports that, this artist was blackballed and that artist was, taken out of a record deal and this artist didn't get their money and that artist didn't. Jay-Z knows that all this is true. The conspiracy that Jay-Z is part of the Illuminati or Freemasonry, honestly, it doesn't surprise me. Because when you're that high up and you're rubbing shoulders and eating dinner with billionaires that have massive control over political and social and financial futures of entire countries, of course Jay-Z wanted to be an enterprise titan. He wanted to be at the top of the game. And he is right now. Right now he is. And he props himself up on these interview platforms like GQ to make himself look like an everyday man. He comes in there with a bottom grill. He comes in there with some Adidas or some Nikes on, right? With some blue jeans and a beanie. He's like, hey man, I'm just like, what do you got? I'm still just like a regular rapper, man. I'm just a nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a nigga out here and I made it. And if I can make it, you can make it too. No, sir. Let me tell you something. When it's time for him to go talk to actual people who make some real money, he wearing a suit. He not out here in no bottom grill. You think Jay-Z's wearing a bottom grill in front of the Sultan of Saudi Arabia? You think he's wearing a bottom grill when he's talking to Russian oligarchs? Huh? You think he's wearing blue jeans when he's out here talking to some of these massive... No! You think he's talking like that in front of these billionaires? Absolutely not. He code switches just like anybody else. He is not himself in every room. He transforms into this mega capitalist, right? Who is hungry for money, hungry to become a billionaire and stay a billionaire. And he's always been hungry for it ever since he started writing music. And to believe that he is anything but that is an absolute crazy thought to have. I'm not angry that Jay-Z is a black capitalist. I'm not angry that Jay-Z decided that he wanted to take this path in life. I'm angry that Jay-Z acts like he hasn't stepped over people. I'm angry, and the rest of the conspiracy theory community is angry that people like Jay-Z who have asserted so much power, whether it be in dark secret societies or in front of the cameras or building a stadium, he is asserting himself to be an everyday man, and he's not. He's asserting himself to be a different type of billionaire. But he's not. He's just like all the rest of the billionaires. He has manipulated, he has controlled, he has hurt, he has pushed, and he has climbed and clawed his way to the top, and people have been stepped on for him to get there. It's that simple. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Song Theory, the Song Theory podcast. I am so excited that you all are here. If you want to see this podcast in its video form and you are not on my Patreon or YouTube, you can come watch it on those platforms, patreon.com/the Song Theory podcast. You can also watch a cut down version of the podcast video form on YouTube. Of course, youtube.com/the Song Theory podcast. Okay. You're welcome to do that. And, at this point, I'm noticing a trend where individuals are starting to really defend Jay-Z. And I just want to let you know, Jay-Z is not defending you. Okay. He's not. He's not coming to save you. And at the end of the day, we are all here trying to fight this fight. We cannot rely on these billionaires no matter what color they are, no matter where they came from or what genre of music they like. We, the people, are the ones that have to fight and claw our way to get the rights that we deserve. People like him are not going to do it. Okay? Thank you all so much. Make sure you share, rate the podcast. Please rate the podcast. Give me 5 stars if you like it. If not, give me 1 star. Tell me why. Comment. Yes, you can comment on a podcast as well. I didn't know that until recently. Thank you all so much. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Better tomorrow. God bless. I'll see you all later.